So here's the second video that I'm doing in a response to what's been written up and talked about of this one student back in the Midwest having an issue with a professor regarding an essay in psychology regarding gender. And I'm basing my whole video prior to this trying to lead up to a point that when you do your essays, you have to research your work and show the professor that you're doing your job. When you go into college, I know you're going to be chasing for academics, but a lot of people are looking for jobs afterwards. If they're going into trade schools, it's one thing. If you're going into a university of sorts, or actually a community college that actually has trade schools, mechanics and stuff, yeah, firefighting, police, that's legitimate. That's cool. And in some of those courses, they would want you to do some academics. Okay, fine, no problem. At least you're learning something. But students will go to the universities and think with all that university learning, after 4 years, that's going to help them out in the job market. Without them doing any research, they're dead meat. And they get disappointed and they're talking about it left and right. But what was being talked about on viral is a student who thinks she was very popular, maybe she was popular on there, and trying to make a big stink that this professor flunked her on an essay because the essay wasn't about the topic. It was about something else totally altogether. In college, you don't do that to your professors. You want to get the pink skin, you want to get the certificate, please their ass. If they're asking for something and you've got a debate against it, debate them, put up or shut up. Put up your material to debate and counter and argue and make sure your point is clear and concise at this point. Because if it's not, you're fucked. Plain enough language, kids? I've been through it too many damn times. I've been through it. I've been through college. Twice. The first time was 2 years, screwed it up, trying to bust my ass in the GPAs and wasn't studying hard enough in certain subjects. And I messed up big time on it. Tried to get back in, but after a semester I couldn't complete the college because I was working full time. I call it 2.5 years spent in college. 30 plus years later, after doing caregiving duties, and still doing a caregiving duty during that time, me and my charge went over to college. Semester and a half, my charge couldn't do it. But I did. And I kept at it. My charge was congratulating me all the time, each semester. I was getting my GPA built up because I matured, and I remember about sticking to a particular topic or a job. It doesn't make me a guru, but I think I'm just a little bit wizened about it. Maybe not so much. Maybe I don't know what it's like being a 20-something-year-old going through college right now. And believe me, there's a lot of things happening as a 20-year-old. If he's at home, he's got duties. If he's got a part-time job, he's got duties. If he's got a full-time job, he's overloaded. And trying to go to college, online's the only way to do it, unless you're going to be balancing online or actually in-person versus online. And still keep a job and still keep a family going. That's tough. That's murderous. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. But that one particular young lady who made a wine of herself, yeah, she's getting support from the maggots, and they're turning their wrath on the professor because the professor downgraded. If they read the material, if they looked at the material and understood what was going on, or actually if they understood what college was all about, then maybe they wouldn't have been that stupid. They were stupid. Only because I've been there already. My second time around trying to get into college, I could pass the placement test that they had. Math said I had to go to the bargain basement in the college if they still had the classes there. But as for English, barely passing. They've used different writing styles I wasn't prepared for. So I had to learn it the hard way. But when I actually had got into an argument with a professor regarding source materials needed to do the final essay, that's where things got heavy. When the communication wasn't right, and we're clearly looking at it from eye to eye. If I could do an argument, a pro and con on the damn essay, I probably would have, but I didn't. It was something to do with Frankenstein's creature. Reading the book is one thing, but understanding the basics of the book. And I'm not just talking about what the book was telling you specifically. I'm telling you the metaphorical representations of this damn thing meant in a life. And then looking at the source material of one theatrical version that wasn't exactly the right stuff I was pulling information from, which was the original source material. And miscommunications happening at that point. To the point where I didn't pass the class. Passed another class to get my foothold. So I had to battle it up. I had to go to war with myself and with the professors. But in the end, I'm pushing 10 years in that thing. 10 years, taking a couple of classes and sometimes one class at a time. But still, my GPA is a lot better than it was starting off. I'm not going to get cum Salandra. No, I'm not being the top dog. I'm just going to try to be maybe a B minus. If I'm a B minus, that's fine. Because getting out of K through 12, I was a C plus guy. I'm not saying it just to say, like, I know everything. I don't know everything. That's why I'm going to college, to learn a lot of shit that I didn't learn growing up as a kid, or even as an adult. But I watched and I observed everything else happening around me that kind of related and gave me a bit of perspective so I could relate with all the material I'm generating for the professors in a way that they understand that, yeah, I'm matured and this is what I understand. Now, do you understand this stuff? Professors have said, yes, here's a grade. There's nothing wrong with being young and insane and also not right about things. Trust me, been there, done that. Well, when a professor from a class is going to give you material to research and then wants your opinion, that's what he's asking for. If you're going to pull from an outside source, how does that outside source relate to the material you have or you have to research? You've got a version of something that needs to be talked about? Is it relatable to the topic that you're doing? Are you doing personal notes only and nothing else to back up your claim? And nothing that matches up with the original work except maybe a few choice phrases and that's it? That you think works? Then my suggestion at this point is to let 2 or 3 eyeballs look at it, or 2 or 3 sets of eyeballs look at it, and get their opinions. Because if you're way off base, you ain't passing, dude. You ain't passing. That's how it is. That being said, folks, back to slumber. Thank God. My dog is asleep. I'm taking the opportunity to do so myself.